Hello, so before I begin with this video, I just wanted to give some stats. This is from the Forbes list of billionaires, richest people in the world, and as you can know, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Bernard Arnault family, they're at the top. They make 219 billion, 158 billion, 129 billion. As we go down to number 50, it's Miriam Alderson making 27.5 billion off of casinos. Scroll down to 71, we have 22 billion from Quicken Loans, Daniel Gilbert, Finance and Investments. We have people tied at 106 and 104, where you have 16.6 billion and 16.5 billion being made. As we go down to 180, we have people making 10.9 billion, 11 billion, 11.1 billion. We have the founder of eBay, Pierre Omidyar, who founded eBay in 1995. He is still on the board and he makes 11.3 billion. Then his quote, "When you create wealth in a short time, you think about philanthropy as you think about a business." In 2021, he made 21.4 billion. Now he dropped down, makes 11.3 billion, but he is not alone. And I wanted to say someone such as a Jeff Bezos can make $100,000 a minute. It was calculated that Jeff Bezos can make 142,000 a minute. Then it's calculated that Elon Musk can make $66,000 a minute, or even 23,000 a minute. Honestly, I just think it depends on the day, but overall, they're so rich, it don't even matter. They don't have to track it. So let's get into this video.
Has collapsed. The issue is now we're in a global civilization. And, I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. It might be a slow decline. It might not.
So his question is about the world collapsing.
I don't know, but there's a lot of signs that we're in overshoot right now and potential early collapse. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, he said every society ends in collapse. And now it looks like we're about to. This was August 10th, 2020.
According to Jared Diamond, it was the elites. The cause of his book called Collapse, and the societies he reviewed, all of them collapsed because the elites consumed all the resources. And I think that's happening now, right? The wealthy nations have been taking most of the resources, especially the USA, and then grabbing them from everywhere around the world through war and colonization and all. And so I think that is happening, but I think we can see, if we look back at our heritage, that it doesn't have to be that way. I think a lot of people think that we're on this linear progressive trend, which is one of the Enlightenment myths that we carry with us, one that the British Empire seeded all over the world, like individualism, anthropocentrism, all those kinds of things, white supremacy. And the ability to see, if we look back at our history, prehistory, we can see that we don't have to be this particular way, that there are ways to change. And I just published a paper where I'm citing some researchers that noted that in several historically studied places, people would shift from a hierarchical to an egalitarian, or back, depending on the season, depending on what's going on. So we can shift.
Wow.
And it's really important to go back to egalitarianism, and that is really vital for raising children and providing the nest. You give that baby what the baby expects and needs, and that's just part of nature, right? The animals, every animal on the planet, they take what they need. Now babies can't do that. So we are the ones who must provide for that child, because they can't walk around and take it. And what happens with civilization, of course, is you have to punish everybody into not taking, to honoring private property, which is another problem. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, complicated.
Yeah, I agree.
So basically, what I wanted you to get out of that is, one, She literally said there was this book called Collapse. And in this book, it's by Jared Diamond, Collapse: How Societies Choose to Fail or Succeed. And in it, he discusses that the reason a lot of civilizations fail is that the rich people take everything to the point nobody has anything and the society has to collapse. And that's another thing. Civilizations have been built before and they all failed. Because one, first they would start trying to grow their own food. They would fail a lot of times. They'd get it and then they'd fail because they overwork their own land to the point it cannot produce anymore. Some people got lucky. They ended up making the food grow for a long time. And then they have to start thinking, okay, how are we going to build more and more weapons? Because someone else is going to try to steal from us. How are we going to build more weapons to kill bugs, build weapons to kill other people because we got to steal their land to grow more food, because that's the thing. You got to be in a cycle of stealing from other people and being scared that you're going to get stolen from as well. And a lot of civilizations, yes, they did fall. They did. Because we're not meant to be living like this. There's problems with plagues, diseases, because we're not meant to be packed in like 100,000 people in a city, 100 people in a city, whatever. We're not supposed to be this close to each other. It used to be people were in groups of 15, all spaced out. They didn't have to worry about ownership of anything. They got what they need and then they left, which is what all the other animals on this planet do. And then most people, they want to live this way, where they don't really have to work, they don't really have to own anything, they want to go back to the hunter-gatherer lifestyle. But then they were enslaved. You know, a lot of them, that is what happened. Like, they were forced into this. And I wanted to give you the statistics on those billionaires because there's a lot of people making like over 10 billion, and we're supposed to look at some little bitty millionaires and someone who's like a Jay-Z who just now made 1.6 billion. But there are people with 100 billion, there are people with 50 billion, there are people with 10 billion in a group, and they haven't just had that 10 billion, they've had it for generation after generation. It is inherited money. Garcia Narvaez goes on to say how it is vital, you know, and a lot of civilizations, they end up switching back and knowing, you know what, equality is the real way and we got to treat everybody equal. So she does show optimism because it has happened where people have just switched. But that's what I wanted to share, because I believe either way we are gonna have to get back to treating everybody equally. We can't just have someone at the bottom and somebody at the top, and it will not work. That is not how we've lived as people. And yeah, I can also see a lot of evidence of a failing society, of a society that is in collapse, of people who are just like, I'm done. Like, I ain't putting up with this. Like, you want to pay me what? And expect me to do 20 different jobs? And then you expect me to do all of this in 2 hours? Because that's what jobs do. They start tracking like, oh, this is the work you have to do. You have to clean this many tables. You have to clean this many rooms. You have to make this many sales, whatever. And it's like, you don't pay me enough. You don't treat me with enough respect. I'm out of it here. I'm over it. I see that happening. I see people who do work feeling more exhausted, not being on their game, not being on point, not even caring about anything. They're more angry. They're more just blech. In return, ruins the whole customer experience. And it used to be people are happier to work and want to go above and beyond. But now, I just feel like our society, I'll get into that later, but I feel like our society has just been evolving to take people's happiness, their joy, take their creativity away from them. So all they can think about is just working and how to make money. And they just developed more and more ways to do it. Whereas in the 1960s, they weren't as developed. And now in the 2020, it's more harder and we're more developing ways to, again, make people feel worse and be on a job. Because yes, it was worse back then, but now it's like the same worseness, but then less any less benefits. Like it's the same thing and worse. And it's super weird how that has happened and that I can say that, but yes, I can. And it's like we've evolved so much, but a lot of people are not enjoying it. Like, oh wow, we evolved in healthcare, but now we have Americans who cannot even afford healthcare. And then they're like, oh well, we'll give you a little this free insurance, and then the insurance does not cover anything. And people are like, well, why am I working to pay money for this insurance every month when it doesn't give me coverage? It's wow. And then even with life insurance, people can pay that for over 30 years and only get back $3,000. And it's like, I've paid you guys for 30 years, and now the most you can give my family is 3,000, and that is what happens. And I know because that's what happened in my family. But the point is, things are not working, and it is getting exposed in a lot of different ways. And that's really all I had to say. I hope you enjoyed that. Bye.